This is my Trekomonder SLR7, a bike which I've owned for coming up for 4 years, and today we're going to be changing the bottom bracket. Tools I've got for this job: here, a little bit of shop towel to keep things nice and clean, the Praxis bottom bracket removal tool, the model number TP2422, the new bottom bracket which came in that box, and I'll just zoom in. I'll get a little bit closer so you can see the part number. I bought that from Tweaks Cycles, that cost £45. A little bit of grease, you'll see why later on. Some rubber gloves to keep the hands clean, and a torque wrench. In this case, this one's too small. The bottom bracket needs to be tightened to 40 Newton meters. This one doesn't go far enough. So we brought the big guns out. This one easily reaches that and surpasses it. The other thing which I've got is this sheet here, which displays different bottom brackets. And the one that I'm doing today for my Trek is the Shimano T47 internal. And helpfully, it's got a QR code here which you scan with your mobile phone, and it gives you instructions on how to install the new bottom bracket. I've actually downloaded those and I'll flash those up on the screen as we go along. So the first side that we're actually going to remove is the drive side, or the right hand side. Now the thing to remember about the drive side is that it's a reverse thread. So to undo the bottom bracket end on this side, we're turning everything anti-clockwise. As so. That's actually loosening nice and easily. Here you can see that the end is quite far out, so we'll see if we can turn the rest of it by hand. And there you go. Now I'll just turn the bike round in the stand and we'll do the removal on the non-drive side. And not forgetting on this side, the non-drive side of the frame, to remove this threaded cup or threaded section, it's normal thread. Presumably because 90% of the bottom bracket is out, that was much easier to turn. Now obviously we don't want to reinstall the new bottom bracket into a dirty frame, so the next thing I'll do is just give the threaded sections of the frame here a little bit of a wipe with some shop towel to get rid of the old and dirty grease. And we'll do exactly the same on the drive side. So just before we begin the install process, or the installation process of the new bottom bracket, which is this one here, we'll just double check that the part numbers are identical. And you can see on the one on the left, hopefully, where it says right hand cup Praxis Shimano T47/RIB. Standing for internal bearing, I think, and is exactly the same on this side. I don't know whether that is focusing enough for you to see that. So I'm quite happy that the part that I'm reinstalling is identical to the part that I've taken out. Now, the other thing that I would also point out, it's worth bearing in mind, is before you reinstall your new bottom bracket, just have a look inside the bottom bracket housing in here, because as you can see just here, there are some wires. Whether they are brake cables, I think they're electrical wires by the looks of them. They don't look particularly thick enough to get hydraulic fluid through. So I think these are to do with, these are wires to do with the Di2 gears. So just make sure that when you reinstall the new bottom bracket, these are pushed well out of way so they don't get damaged or pushed out the other side of the frame when the body of the bottom bracket gets reinserted. The installation instructions next advise to put a little bit of grease on the threads of the bottom bracket inside the frame and on the threads of the bottom bracket itself. So that's what we're going to do next. Not a massive amount, just a little bit of fresh grease. And here we're just going to put, this is the right hand cup or the drive side, and we're just going to put a little bit of grease around the threads like so. If I can keep it in camera shot. Just a little bit of grease around the thread. On the drive side cup, and the same on the other. The instructions specify that as for reinstallation, the drive side cup needs to go in first. And remember, this is a reverse thread. So we're going to try and line it up first. Make sure there's no resistance to it going in, there's no cross threading. I'll take it as far as I possibly can, just using fingers first of all, turning it anti-clockwise. Too long. To the rest of the way into the frame. Make sure that that's inserted nice and straight and true, and we're staying away from cross threading. Okay, that's as far as I can go finger tight. Let's turn the bike round in the stand and do the other side. Inserting the remainder of the bottom bracket now, we want to make sure that we keep these cables, which you can just see there, out of the way. So using a pencil and inserting the pencil from the other side just to lift them, to try and get them out the way, whilst this part goes in. And we try and get it to grip. There you go, that's nice and in. Okay, it's super important to make sure you get those cables out of the way first, if you have any in your frame, to make sure that they're not damaged and the bottom bracket goes in aligned in the manner that it should do without any obstructions. Okay, now using the tool, insert the tool, make sure it grips the flanges where it's supposed to, and gently turn it the correct way, tightening it into the frame. And that seems to be going in quite smoothly. All the way to finger tight before we put the torque wrench on. There you go, that's it. That's the bite point. Making sure that the dust cap, which might come off when you remove the tool, gets put back on the sealed cartridge bearing there. So we'll just pick that off the tool and make sure that goes back where it should do. With the torque wrench now set to 40 Newton meters, which is what the installation instructions specify, I'm now going to tighten both cups. The instructions don't specify which cup to tighten first. So we're going to do the non-drive side. Make sure that it's a good solid fit onto the frame first of all, and slowly tighten to 40 Newton meters. There you go. That's that side done, and now we'll spin the bike round in the stand and we'll do the other side. So, drive side, we have the reverse thread, don't forget. Again, good tight fit. And to tighten, it's going the opposite way. .40 Newton meters. That's where the resistance is. And there you go, that's your limit. Just with a bit of blue shop towel, just clean off the excess grease from around the sides, and then all that is left to be done is the reinstallation of the cranks. Each bolt to be tightened evenly to between 12 to 14 Newton meters according to the instructions given by Shimano on the crank. So I've gone halfway between the 12 and the 14 Newton meter setting on the torque meter. Just to nip them up, finger tight first of all. And then to do the job properly, applying the specified load evenly . Until we hear that magic click. And there you have it. Job done. So thanks very much for watching. If you found the video helpful, give it a thumbs up. I very much appreciate that. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you next time.